So, good morning. This is from my grandma YouTube channel, although I'm always thinking about my grandchildren, Delta Ray, Sierra Jade, Thatcher Cole, and my heart grandchildren. There are many, many, many of you. And so today I want to do something a little bit different. I'm struggling a little bit to understand where the camera is here as I turn my phone backwards, and I'm not doing it on my computer like I usually do. So this is going to be a challenge this morning. Grandma's going to have some fun. It'll teach us how to go with the flow. So I want to read out of a book that's very near and dear to my heart, and while it has a specific title, I want you to know that it can be about any teenager, any young person. Most of us grow up probably needing a little bit more than our parents knew how to give. And parents, although they often do the best they can, sometimes don't really know what to do, and that's the big secret. And sometimes adults need to let children know that they don't really know what to do. We think we need to be in charge all the time, and it is important to make our children feel safe, but at the same time, I think it's important that children see their parents as being human and making mistakes too, because that teaches us how to cope with our mistakes and what to do about our mistakes, and it doesn't set children up to think that adults are perfect and that they have to be perfect. That just makes most of us feel scared and angry alone. But anyway, the name of this book this morning is called Alateen Talks Back on Slogans. And it's written by teenagers, and that's why I found it so impressive and particularly interesting as I flip through it. And I've lost my page. I have one page I want to start with. It's a little story in there. So although it talks a lot about parents who drink, you know, sometimes parents are absent because they're working a lot, or because things aren't going well with their relationships, or maybe it's because somebody in the family's sick or a sibling's sick. I mean, there's a wide variety of reasons why things like this can happen. And, well, we'll just go ahead and see. I'll go ahead and I'll start to read in little spurts here. So this first story is about a slogan called One Day at a Time. And it says, my story is different from most because the problems began after sobriety. My father's drinking was not explained to me until I was about 10. I always knew my family was different than everyone else's. My mother was on the phone all the time, and my father was never home. I feared my father for as long as I can remember, although I'd never seen him drunk. When I was in the 7th grade, I sensed something was wrong. I couldn't figure what it was, though. Then I saw my father, who read a lot, moving his books out. He stayed in the city more, even on weekends. The separation was hard to get used to. Every night I felt like something was missing when my father didn't come home. One of my biggest worries was that my father couldn't take care of himself. I'd never seen him cook anything but spaghetti. I learned to let go and let God. See, that's another one of those slogans. Learn to let go and let God. I had to take care of me. My father's well-being was not my responsibility. For as long as I can remember, I've been taking medication for epilepsy. Taking care of my health was my concern. Now, after many years on doctor's orders, I've stopped taking my medication. This is a very dangerous time for me, but Alateen has helped me realize that I can only live one day at a time. That's another key slogan in Al-Anon, one day at a time, and not project the future. My thoughts of ever having a seizure again are few, and if I did, the program would help me to handle that situation too. That was written by Mary in New York, the United States of America. So there were a couple of slogans in there, like let go and let God. Sometimes we think as children that we have more control than we do. Often children blame themselves for things that are totally beyond their control and have nothing to do with them. And that's not your fault that you blamed yourself. It's just where you were in your developmental stage, because your brain is still evolving and growing. And sometimes there's not an adult around to help you understand that it's not your fault. It's just not your fault. So the next one I want to read is Easy Does It. This is one of my favorite ones because I have a hard time with this, and I have to remind myself when I'm being hard on myself and I'm struggling for self-compassion that I have to go easy on myself sometimes. This is by Pauline in County Derry, Northern Ireland. See, children all over the world write in these books. I found Alateen helped me in many ways. It gave me the slogans, which were very helpful, especially the slogan, "Easy does it." It helped me when I was getting worked up about things. For example, my test. When I went into the classroom, I sat down and said the Serenity Prayer, then started on my paper. I slowed down by saying "easy does it" to myself. This helped me a great deal, and I'm so glad I discovered it in Alateen. I don't know if any of you can relate to that reading. I sure could. When I was a little girl, I used to get stressed out. I still get stressed out. I don't do well on tests. I do much better when I can just write things out, but tests are very challenging for me, and it's stress. It's not because I'm not smart. It's not because you're not smart. It's just because we get stressed, and a lot of times it's because we don't have confidence in ourselves. You know, we weren't raised to believe that we could sit down and do something and just be okay with whatever the results were. The results always seem like they were a bigger deal than they are. So, my next one is "Easy does it." When things are rushing in on me, like having to make spur-of-the-moment decisions, I find if I just slow down and say "easy does it" over and over again, it works wonders for me. It took me a while to realize what these 3 words mean and how to use them, but then again, nothing ever comes easy or very quickly. I have to work on it. So I slow down and say "easy does it." That was Anne in Washington State up in USA. And here's one of my favorites. This one day at a time. From you, Alateen, I have learned to be grateful for the little things. And you know, gratitude's another secret. Gratitude, self-compassion, just learning to just slow down. I've learned to be grateful to little things. Youth, laughter, a family who cares. From you, I've learned not to take life for granted, to live one day at a time. From you, I learned to be happy, even when things aren't exactly the way I want. From you, I've learned to care about what I say, honestly. From you, I've learned to love, feeling secure and accepted. You taught me, and I have learned. And this was by another teenager, Diana in Michigan. You know, and I want to say something about something in there. I've learned to be happy even when things aren't exactly the way I want. You know, I've learned I can be happy in any given moment. The thing is, I had to learn that happiness wasn't always about getting what I wanted. See, if I'm only happy when I get what I want and life doesn't give me what I want a lot of the time, then I'm not going to be a very happy camper. But I can be happy with what I have. I can be happy with who I'm with. I can be happy with where I'm at, especially when I make choices that get me there. So the next one, this is a biggie. One day at a time. And this person wrote, this is Sunny in Saskatchewan, Canada. Again, remember what I said? Children and teenagers from all over the world. Fear is something that we can all experience in one way or another. It could be fear of what the new day may bring or what was in the past. I've learned to deal with my fears by using the slogan, "one day at a time." This slogan reminds me not for too long the days to come or hold on to the painful memories. They are gone forever. So when I am alone and fearful, I think of one day at a time. As I search with courage for the rainbow, the sky clears. As I search for courage for the rainbow, the sky clears. What do you think that means? Like, you know, that means literally when it's raining, how the rainbow comes out and we can look for the rainbow. It also means that sometimes when we're feeling really low and our heart might be breaking, that if we take a deep breath and just stay with that pain for a moment, that pretty soon the sky will clear and we can actually look around and see something or someone or somehow something that makes us feel just a little bit better. And there's the rainbow, whatever that is that makes you feel better. You know, for me, I live far away from my grandchildren, and I taught them when they were little kids that they could look up at the moon, and no matter where we were, well, even when I was in France, I looked up at the moon, and I thought that is the same moon that my grandchildren can see. We share that. We share that even when we're not together, looking at that moon, that big, bright, fabulous moon that shines brightly in the middle of the night is something that we both can see in different places on the planet. Maybe at different times, but we see the same moon. Let me think. There was something else that I wanted to read here. This one says, this is by Jennifer in Minnesota. Before I came to Allentown, I worried about many things, especially in school. This did not help my grades. Nobody's grades ever got better by worrying about them. They get better when you study, but you don't get better when you worry about them. I would worry about my dad. Would he be drunk or would he be mean to the family? Now that I'm in Allentown, I don't worry about things like that in school that help me, and that helps me concentrate on my schoolwork. One of the slogans which helped me and is still helping me is live and let live. What my dad does, I can't do a thing about, and I will not let it affect me. That's by Jennifer, again in Minnesota. You know, we can love people without letting their behavior affect us. It's possible. I'm happy today because I have today to be happy in. There were times when I didn't know if I would have today to be happy in, and those were the days I needed to remember to live one day at a time. I'm happy today because I don't have to worry about my mother and father. I'm at the top of the list of the priorities. I'm happy today because I'm no longer alone. I have a Allentown and a higher power who is with me every second of the day, no matter what. I'm happy today because I can reach out and help someone through a rough time so that they can feel happy too. See what you have going for you. Smile and be happy too. That's Robert in Texas and USA. And you know, sometimes when we reach out, we can't say something sometimes that makes somebody else feel better. What we could say is, I'm sorry that's happening. And we can also listen. Did you know the greatest gift you can ever give somebody is just to listen and sit there with them while they're going through what they go through? Looks like I'm hitting my time. I don't want the video recording to cut me off. There's one last one. Allentown has helped me in many things, and one of the most important is to try to live one day at a time. The meaning and value of this slogan has grown since I first started applying it. The benefits came when I tried to handle only what I could in one 24-hour period and not worry about everything at once. I was coping with my problems and found out that many were caused by my reactions to situations, other people, places, and things that I could not control. After I stopped reacting to everything, I did not have as many problems. I discovered that I had been concerned with things that were out of my control and I could do nothing about it. Today I'm finding new meaning and new benefits from the one day at a time principle. Whatever is down the road for me does not have to bring fear and anxiety as it did before. Just as important is that I do not have to feel guilt or shame because of what is past. The only thing that counts today is today. That's from Joe in Maryland in USA. You know, there are so many things that these little books, there's a couple of them I'm going to read from them and put more videos up, but you can actually find Allentown online. You can find it through the internet if you Google Allentown. There are, make sure it's a real one, needs to say, you'll be able to tell because it'll have the Allentown website connected to it. But sometimes schools have Allentown meetings, churches. You can ask your school counselor. You can ask someone in your church. You can, like I said, look at it maybe sometimes even if you still use a phone book. I mean, a lot of people probably aren't using phone books these days, but and then you can go to the www.Allentown, just go www.allentown.org, or it might be alanon.org, and search for Allentown, and you can find meetings in your area where you might be able to go. Of course, you need to ask your parents if you can, leave the house or whatever you need to do. Always ask permission. And when you're at school, talk to a counselor about it. If there's meetings there at the school, they can probably tell you how to best go about being able to meet other kids who write in these kind of books. And this is the Allentown Talks back on the slogans. And as you can see on the front there, it says, keep it simple, let go and let God, one day at a time. And I'll put links on this video so that you can click in there too as well. And then I want to tell you what's going on over here in the back. Oops, the other side. The other side. Oh, it can't do it backwards. There we go. Over here. So those are my dolls. There are 4 of them. There's a Chinese doll. There's a white doll. There's a Native American doll. There's a Mexican baby doll. And I teach infant massage to parents. I like to help them get connected and have good experiences with their babies right up front. And then as you can see above that, I've got a panda bear and a big fluffy dog. Those are puppets. And sometimes I use those with children when they're feeling stressed. Maybe they're with their parents for an infant massage class, and we can kind of make them feel a little bit happy. And the reason I share that with you is because it's important when we're teenagers, we're growing up, we're in between. It's like we're too old to be an adult, or too young to be an adult, too old to be a kid. But you know, it's kind of important to stay a kid someplace inside. So make sure you have fun, you know. Make sure you do some silly things from time to time, and don't let life become all serious. There needs to be a balance between the two, you know. That part of you that still needs to be a child needs to be a child. And that part of you that needs to make more mature decisions, you know, value that too as well. So that's all I have for today. I hope you got something out of this, and mostly I just want you to know that you're not alone and that you're loved. And the most important thing you can do is to value yourself and value your own opinion of yourself, because really anyone else's opinion of you is really none of your business. It's being able to look yourself in the mirror every day. So I hope you enjoy this series, and we'll be back again. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Remember, one day at a time, let go and let God, and easy does it.